Hello, welcome to the show. This is the Sales for the Nigerian Business Person podcast. It's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, or any podcast player of your choice. So remember, you can subscribe for free once you're done listening to this episode if you're one of the 40% of folks who listen to podcasts on, what are they called? Web browsers. Also, remember to give me a 5-star review because so far nobody has given me a 4-star review or a 3-star review. It's been all fives. So let's keep the high standards going. Okay, well, keeping the standards, that's my job. So I guess just give an honest review. But if you think it's 5 stars, that's fine. So far, everybody else thinks it's a 5-star podcast. Now, today, we're also going to be doing an audience question. And this is a question that was submitted by Tendai Mati. So, forgive me for not pronouncing your name correctly. Now, the question is, what qualities do you have to possess to be a successful entrepreneur? Sorry, forgive me. Before we continue, I still have a cold, so that's why I might sound funny or have to clear my throat every now and then. Okay. Yeah, so audience question from Tendai Mati. What qualities do you have to possess to be a successful entrepreneur? Now, in my opinion, I think this question comes with a flaw, and the flaw of it is this. This question is like a lot of questions that we get in business circles that kind of have a personality ethic underpinning it. For those of you who are not aware, personality ethic and character ethic, those are theories about approaching the world. How do you behave? Things like that. How do you make decisions? And the much more ancient way of doing things was from a character ethic. Was from a character ethic point of view, which was much more substantive, focusing on things to be done. But then the modern man has an interesting way. The modern man and the modern woman has a much more interesting way of looking at the world, and which is also to look at things from a personality ethic, which focuses on personality, like it says, personality, focus on things that you can imitate, if I can put it that way. So I think that that's the flaw to the question. So because of that, you have people running around and thinking, what kind of personal qualities, what kind of personal attributes, what kind of stuff like that do I need to imitate in order to run a successful business? And I think that that's a flaw, and you're going to see how that is a flaw in a few minutes. So the alternative view, like I said, is to look at things from a character ethic, and which is to focus on substantive things to be done. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because people are looking at qualities and attributes and stuff like that. People are thinking that, okay, Jeff Bezos wakes up at 5 a.m., therefore I have to wake up at 5 a.m. Jeff Bezos is phlegmatic, therefore I have to be phlegmatic. Mark Zuckerberg is melancholic, or whatever. Just fill in the whole thing, and people are just substituting that, and that's the wrong way of looking at things. So, if you're going to look at things from a character ethic, and we're going to be focusing on substantive things to do, then the alternative take is going to be, rather than looking at personal qualities that you have to become, that you need to be successful in entrepreneurship and in business, business, rather we should be looking at what business functions have to be exercised to become a successful entrepreneur. So in case you guys didn't catch the split, let me just go over it again. So there's character ethic and there's personality ethic. If you're looking at things from personality ethic, then you're looking at things like, when does the person wake up? What is their personality? What are their personal beliefs? What are their motivations? Stuff like that. And you're trying to imitate that. But if you're looking at things from a character ethic, then you're looking at much more fundamental things. In this case, is going to be what kind of business functions need to be exercised to be successful in business. And when you look at things that way, then the question becomes much more simpler. Because the only business functions that matter, at least from our good old friend Peter Drucker, is, or rather are, because there are two of them that he identifies. Number one, innovation, and then number two, marketing. Now, innovation, people talk about that all the time. So that's the reason why I don't talk about innovation over here on the podcast. And I'm only focused on things that tie into the marketing function of business. Now, what is the marketing function of business? The marketing function of business is, or rather, are those functions that that answer the question: how do you take your product, how do you take your service, and get them into the hands or into the homes or into the offices of those who need them the most? And in Peter Drucker's opinion, and my own opinion, that is the most important function of a business. Because if you're good with product and service innovation, which a lot of you are, so back to the wedding photographer example, that's where I started out. There are wedding photographers that are really brilliant when it comes to product and service innovation. They know how to take the perfect photo. They know how to light. They know how to style. They know how to direct. They know how to do all sorts of things, and they know how to build the best experience possible. So from the moment you walk into the studio or the moment they show up on your set until the day you get your photos, everything is absolutely brilliant. So most people good at innovation, 8 over 10, 10 over 10. So no need to go into that. But if you're good at innovating the product, innovating in service delivery, but you are bad at marketing, which is getting the product or service to those who actually need it, then at the end of the day, for most folks, you're going to be left with a very expensive hobby. So for the wedding photographer, you're going to be there with the cameras, you're going to be there with the light, you're going to be there with the studio space. And yes, maybe you get to show your innovative art and your innovative practices. Every once in a while, you get to dazzle someone, but folks are not coming through the door, and what you have is an expensive hobby. So it's the same whether you sell fabrics or you're a management consultant, or whether you sell local made perfumes or house cleaning services, it's all the same. Innovation really helps. Innovation is not the problem. The problem is lots of folks are not good at the marketing functions of business. Now, what are the marketing functions of business? Depends on who you talk to. People are going to talk about all kinds of skill sets. I prefer to focus on sales and personal selling. So, sales, personal selling, that is situations where you're having one on one conversations with a particular customer or with a particular potential customer, and you're trying to get them to take the next step, open up the business relationship with you, and get them to buy your product or your service. So, that is what I choose to focus on the podcast. There are other podcasts and other learning material devoted to the marketing functions that talk about advertising, they talk about public relations, talk about branding, talk about publicity, promotions. If you start listening to all those tech leading podcasts, they talk about go to market motions and things like that. Talk about finding product market fit and all those sorts of things. And no matter what these things are called, the different names, everything goes under the marketing function of the business. How do we get the product? How do we get the service to those who need them the most, or those who we think are going to need our product or our service? That is the business function that everybody needs to be good at in order to be successful in entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, because we live in an age that is more personality ethic, you'll find that business journalists are writing more on the personality side of things. So people focus on Mark Zuckerberg's sense of style, or where he wakes up, or what school he went to, or how driven he is, or whatever. And it's not to say all those things don't matter. They actually do. But the thing is, you can have all the drive, all the good looks, all the connections, the right school, the right, absolutely everything. But if you are severely hindered or hampered in the marketing function of your business, then you are being faced with a very steep climb in order to build a successful business. But then, on the other hand, if you're really good with the marketing function of a business, but then you lack all the personal flair and character qualities, sorry, not character, personality traits and all of that, you can see that your chances for building a successful business go up somewhat. Because, after all, some folks have pointed out that despite all the other positive character traits of, the typical poster boys, at least in America, for entrepreneurship, Bezos and the rest of them, there are people that point out that, well, despite all this stuff, they are just, if you remove the money, they seem to be remarkably bland folks. At least that's what some people say. I don't know. I haven't met any of them. So I don't weigh in one way or another. So if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you should be paying attention to the marketing function. If you already listen to this podcast, then that's good. You're paying attention to one of them, which is sales and personal selling, which is the one-to-one. The other things that I mentioned, advertising, public relations, branding, publicity, promotions, go-to-market functions, and all the other names for it, are usually situations where people are focusing on one to many. So, advertising, you advertise on radio, it is you blasting out a message to many. Advertise on TV is the same, one to many. Email campaign, one to many. Public relations, one to many. Branding, one to many. You get the whole gist. But the reason why I focus on the one-to-one sales and personal selling is because it's easy to set up the right advertising, the public relations, the branding, and all that other stuff. But then where most people fail is when a customer actually picks up the phone and says hello. So that's where a lot of people start getting it wrong. They don't know how to establish the relationship. They don't know how to find out what it is that the person needs. They don't know how to get the person to take the next step, and they don't know how to ask for the commitment. In fact, from my days as a wedding photographer, it's something that I saw a lot. People would run these Facebook ads. Somebody would call, come to the studio, you look at albums, things like that. And then the person finishes and says, okay, thank you very much. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. So, of course, it's going to end with, let me think about it and get back to you. And that's because you lack the personal selling skills to be able to move the relationship along. You're not sure what the arc of the relationship is supposed to be. And you're not sure how you're supposed to get someone to take the next step with you. Anyway, we've gone past the 10-minute mark, so let me just wrap it up. So, summary. So long as you are ethical and so long as you are professional, you should be fine when it comes to the personality stuff. So just make sure that you're ethical and make sure that you're professional. So all those things of waking up early in the morning, does it have to be 4 a.m., 5 a.m.? I don't know. And quite frankly, who cares? But so long as you're professional, you'll be fine. So for the medical doctor, you guys are expected to be in the office by 9 a.m. to start making the, the calls where people come in and see you. So if you're starting a medical practice and you guys are there 9 a.m., then that's good. If because you heard on this podcast that the time you wake up doesn't matter, and you decide to open your medical practice at 3 in the afternoon today, and then tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon, and then the next day at 7 o'clock at night, then you're causing problems for yourself. So just be ethical, be professional. Whatever the standards are for your trade or for your business, and you should be just fine. That's on the personality side. Now, when it comes to the character and much more substantial side, if you focus on the marketing functions, you also should be just fine. So, summary, that is what you need, Tendai Mati, to become a successful entrepreneur. Of course, I am ignoring the product side. I'm assuming that you have a product that people actually do that the product that people actually do want, and that you have a mastery of your product and your service. So I'm taking all of that for granted. Okay, so I'm not saying that that is not important. So that's the summary. Be ethical, be professional, focus on the marketing function, and you will be fine. So that's all for today, folks. If you like what you hear on the podcast, hit me up on 080-6466-2140. You can call, SMS, WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever. Loads of services available, including personal branding and career development, where we help you build your personal brand, or folks in the office build your personal brand. Of course, always taking things from a sales and business development perspective. Also, tips, tricks, and frameworks to help advance your career, because a lot of stuff that we talk about when it comes to personal selling can help you move you up the corporate ladder or help you get more influential in the department or wherever it is that you work. And then, of course, professional and communication skills also help with personal branding, career development, and those are services that I can help you with. So that's it for today. I still have a list of some more questions to go. Let me see. Okay, no point in saying which question is going to be ahead of tomorrow. So yeah, thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording where we'll move on to the next audience question. And thanks to Tendai Mati and the others who sent questions ahead of time that we have been dealing with on the podcast. So hit me up on the socials. My name is Tavishima Ayede. The correct spelling of my name you will find in the podcast player or in the web browser where you're listening to this episode. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.